Hey, this is Paige Ruderman, and this is the So Rude podcast. Welcome to the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the So Rude podcast. My name is Paige Ruderman, and today I am so excited to welcome a special guest to the show. Jay Putty is a heartfelt and hardworking indie folk pop artist based in Nashville, known for his emotionally rich songwriting and anthemic choruses. His music has charted in over 50 countries, reached number 93 on the global singer-songwriter chart, and held strong for 20 weeks on Billboard's Pop Airplay chart. From brand placements with Ralph Lauren and DraftKings to features in People magazine and Billboard, Jay's songs connect through their honesty and heart. Today, he's here to talk about his most personal project yet, Mountains and Valleys, a cinematic new EP that explores the invisible thread between love and loss, and how grief quietly walks with us throughout everyday life. Accompanied by a stunning short film, this project is a powerful reminder that even in our pain, there's beauty, transformation, and connection. Jay, thank you so much for coming on the So Rude podcast.
Paige, thank you so much for having me. And why say anything else after an intro like that? It makes me sound so much better than I am.
No, I'm strictly just here to celebrate all the hard work that you've clearly been putting into your artistry and your journey as a creative. And I guess it must feel like exciting and weird to hear it read back to you.
Honestly, sometimes because I mean, I've been in music since I was 13 in bands that did pretty well. I've been playing and writing music for the better part of my life, and so to hear something like read back to you like that, it's like, oh my God, like I've done some of that. It's 13-year-old me would be losing his mind right now. Like, oh my God, we did that? What the billboard? Are you talking about the things outside? And I'm like, yes.
That is so funny. And like, what a great testament to we don't always stop to smell the roses, so to speak. We kind of like always have our foot on the gas thinking about the next thing. And what a fun time to be like, oh yeah, I've actually accomplished some pretty cool things.
Yeah, it's so funny because like I try really hard as like a creative in general to like love the process, like every day, like, you know, get up there, write songs, work on things, all that. Because I feel like sometimes like as a creative, if you fall in love with like the result of it, it never feels as good. Like I remember when my first single back at being an artist, because I took a pause for a few years. Uh my song Best Days went to like top 40 at alternative radio.
Oh wow.
And I remember like I chart watched for weeks leading up to it, like every little spin. I called stations and all that. I needed every little sound scan. And then it hit top 40 and I was like, oh wow, I feel no different.
Hmm.
And it wasn't that like I wasn't proud or happy of the accomplishment that I had with it. It was just I put so much time and energy in the result that I lost sight of the process, which is being able to kind of like write and create things and do it with, your best friends. Because, a lot of my songs I write with my best friend Michael McQuaid, who's on literally every EP I have since I've came back as an artist. And so that to me always is more exciting to celebrate rather than just like in almost, I don't want to say it's like arbitrary because again, like I don't want it to sound like I'm ungrateful for it, but it's like the milestone is almost arbitrary to like the journey to get to that milestone, if that makes sense.
Totally. And almost like the anticipation and the like you said, you're chart watching, you're like checking things all hours of the day. It's like that there is so much excitement in that.
Yeah.
And like celebrating that, especially with your friends. I love that you get to make music and you've kept similar collaborators around you throughout your projects because I find that's like the most enjoyable part of making music.
Oh, it really is because half the time, like again, like talking about my buddy Michael, half the time when we are writing together, I don't know if we ever like we always like put rights on the calendar and we always like have X amount of time to do it, and how little time spent writing and how much time like my example, like my wife just got my studio cleaned up and all that kind of good stuff. And so the bar is back in my studio. And I remember texting him like, "Oh my God, like we have it because we have a session tomorrow." And I'm like, "The bar is back." And he goes, "All right, are we making drinks?" And so I'm like, "It'll probably be, the session usually lasts like 4 or 5 hours. So like 3 or 4 of them are going to be spent,
Gavin.
canoodling around, and then maybe an hour or so writing."
Yeah. Oh man. Well, that'll be fun. Hopefully that's something to look forward to tomorrow, getting in and breaking open the bar.
Absolutely, someone's got to do it.
So you actually shared a little bit more with us as you were kind of sharing that you started music at 13 in some of your
Yeah.
earlier bands, but talk to me a little bit about when did you realize, hey, like I like music, I want to get more involved in this.
It's honestly like from the moment I picked up the guitar, I kind of was like, "Whoa, what is this?" Kind of like Keanu Reeves, like, "Whoa." But how I kind of got started in music was uh when you know, this is gonna sound so like trauma dumpy, but basically what happened was I was attacked by my school bully, and he like shot at my nose, my cheekbones. I ended up having to get over the course of years, like multiple surgeries to fix my face. But that first surgery, we found out that I have a really terrible allergy to pain meds. Basically, like
Oh,
any pain meds you can think of, I can't take. It'll like cause me to die. Thanks, mom, for giving me that allergy because she has the same one.
oh,
And when you're that young and you don't really understand that, like, bullies just kind of suck. Like, it's not always you, it's just some people just, sometimes people do bad things, not for anything other than that. And I, thought it was my fault, I was a problem, and I tried to, you know, partake in finishing the job for him, for lack of better words. And my mom was like, "Actually, let's go to Walmart. Let's get you a toy or a video game or something, and whatever you have to do, like, just play with it in the family room." And this was back in like the early 2000s, when they had the like acoustic guitars or whatever at like the toy aisle. I don't know if you remember that, like the 35.95 first act guitars had Adam Levine on it back when Maroon 5 was like an actual band. Uh, and so I purchased that, and so I kind of started playing music at like 12 or 13, and it was really from that moment on. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want to do it. Like I was pretty studious during high school for the most part, and by that I mean I tested really well. I didn't do homework a lot, but I tested pretty well, and so I was always like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna go to, you know, college to be a doctor or whatever. But if this music thing works out, like I'll drop out. And so like, the deeper I got into high school, I was in more bands, and I started a band my junior year with some friends, and we took off pretty fast. Like did Vans Warp Tour. We're
oh,
being looked at by
cool.
some like indie labels, like the classic like Fearless Records and all that. And so I was like, that's it. That's the sign. We're done. I'm not doing it. Uh, but then that band, like, we parted ways, and I went back to college for a week, and I lasted about a week and dropped out again. And then a band that we knew just from friends called me up and was like, "Hey, uh, our guitarist just left. Can you fly out to Iowa and learn 22 songs for a headlining tour run in 2 days?" And I was like, "Sure, I just dropped out of college. I have nothing on my plate right now." And so like that's kind of like what started. I went on tour for about 2 months and then came back and started working on my first like solo stuff as an artist. And from there it was just basically all of my 20s spent writing and recording and doing all that for K-pop groups and major label country and all that, and whatever I can get my hands on, really.
That's incredible. Also, shout out Vans Warp Tour because I went to Vans Warp Tour as a teen and I grew up listening to a lot of like alternative rock, emo, all the above. And so I love that you had a little bit of a background in that as well because
Oh,
let's be honest, it
absolutely.
it slaps.
Oh yeah, it was never a phase. Absolutely not. I mean, those were the first bands I like. Everyone has like the classic, like, oh, the first songs I learned were like the classic rock radio that my parents gave me, or like John Mayer, or like any of those. And I was like, no, first songs I learned how to play were Hawthorne Heights and My Chemical Romance. I was in it. Like I remember hearing the song "Ohio's for Lovers" by Hawthorne Heights, and it was like, "So cut my wrists and black my eyes." I was like, whoa, someone else feels the same as I do.
Yeah. And like, oh my gosh, they can put this in a song. Like this is
Yeah.
literally lyrics in a song.
And I was like, yes, mom. It's I'm gonna dye my hair black now, and the
Cross. Yeah.
since it is like a video podcast, I can be like this right now and just be like, I've never worn my hair like this before. That is crazy. We're gonna
That's so
put that
funny.
right back.
You're like, okay. But yes, I agree. Like just I listen to a lot of that music as well, and that's really fun that you had so many, it sounds like different experiences on the music journey growing up and through each step, because it kind of like you got a taste for, okay, I got a taste with being in a band, I got a taste for, touring, I got a taste for this, and then that led you to moving into an independent or a solo route.
Yeah, honestly, like my thing was always just I knew I wanted to do music. I knew I wanted to do whatever. So I was just willing that if something wasn't working, I would just be like, okay, pivot, time to go here, trying to do this, whatever I need to do, whatever helps.
Yeah. And speaking of music and pivoting, I know you're here today to talk about your brand new EP,
Yeah.
Mountains and Valleys. How does
Yeah.
it feel having that out in the world?
It's anytime that you get a chance to, you know, make a body of work that feels special to you as like a creator, it's always such a blessing, like really. This was such a different record for me to work on because Um, like even there's three tracks on the record that are just all like instrumental, my own take of scoring kind of thing. I'm really inspired by bands like Queen and like Mariana's Trench, for example, and they always have these songs that go in between the record to kind of like help tell the story, and that's kind of like what I wanted to do with it. So like that was such a different challenge, essentially trying to compose like trailer or movie score cues to go alongside a short film that I made, which was a task in and of itself. Um, sorry, my right as this is going up right now, because I'm about to start talking about my mom, and she just texted me right now because my best friend Michael that I was said about we write all the songs, and we wrote a few songs on Mountains and Valleys, started something new we were together on. But my mom was just like, oh, you hung out with Michael last night and you didn't send me pictures of his son? Okay, because his son just turned 2 and he's the most adorable little son in the world.
You got to
uh
pay the baby tax. You got to pay
Always,
it.
always got to pay the tax. And I didn't this time, and so IRS is coming for me. But no, it was invigorating to be able to release a record like that and to really kind of like tell the story of like where I'm at now, because over the last 3 years I have been writing these songs that are like hopeful, melancholic about like the loss of my dad, loss of my friend, loss of so many people in my life, that it felt good to kind of like almost like when that record came out, it almost felt like a nice like pin of like I've said everything I can right now in like this era of grief, which grief is not linear. It's really not. And like some days will be better than others, but finishing up this record felt like a closing of a chapter, like of okay, you've said it, you've done it, and now where and who you are outside of that is the next step. And that feels like really exciting because now um, I'm already on and off to more records. Like I already have August, I don't know when this is coming out, but the first single of the next project comes out August 8th. So like two
Wow.
weeks. And that is like that's a song for the first time in a long time. Like it's a pure like love song. Like it is just, you know, enjoying it, and it's the idea that kind of stemmed from I know like with my talking about my mom is watching my parents grow up together, and they were like a beautiful love story on it, and the idea of if we go down is literally like if if for better or worse was the song. So it's really nice to be able to like release a record and feel like some kind of like finality to a chapter of your life that I feel like I've been writing for the better part of 3 years now, which is exciting.
Yeah. And it's nice that it's out because it's almost like a snapshot at that point in time in your artist career. It's kind of like, okay, at this point in time, this was like a reflection of what was going on in my personal life.
Yeah,
And new chapters can look different, but it's nice that you got to honor it and have its own chapter for that.
yeah. I mean, you said it very beautifully, Paige, because that's kind of what it is. Like, even like thinking now as we're talking, it's like Rosewood came out, and it was like, well, here's what I'm talking about right now. The Compass was, I mean, even the title of the Compass was because I'm like, where I'm finding direction in life, I'm finding that way. And Mountains and Valleys was like, all right, like we found our way, like we've experienced the highs of the mountains, we've experienced the lows of the valleys, and now it's time to walk in between.
Definitely. Do you remember what song off of, because I know that there's a few instrumental tracks, and I'm actually excited to ask you a couple questions about
Yeah.
those, but do you remember what song came to you first as you were writing the project?
Yeah, Started Something New actually is the first song for the project. Wrote it the my first session back in January of 20 I think 2023, which it was the first Christmas without my dad and without my grandma, which was incredibly hard because you don't realize how loud love is until you experience a major holiday like Christmas, and it's very quiet and there's a lot of empty chairs. Um, and I remember talking, that's the song I wrote with Michael. I remember talking to him when we were writing it about all this, and he immediately was like, "Oh, next year, why don't we do like a Christmas thing together, like with our families and all that?" And I'm really close with his parents and all that now. And I was like, okay, maybe this, I can still like honor like the people I've lost and all that, but maybe growing up and getting older is experiencing the chosen family too. And so like that song is kind of like the idea of being like, I don't know where I'm going, but it's the start of something new. It's, hey, like, the sun is starting to shine again, and either I can stay in bed or I can get out and go.
Yeah, and what a universal feeling in the sense of some people might connect to that feeling of loss because of, death or passing or grief, and other people it might be lost because they're in a new city or a new state and they're kind of far away from family during a holiday or a special moment. And like I've always found songs where I could emotionally connect to them really powerful. It's kind of like someone put words to a feeling I didn't know how to express, and
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why even now, like music, people connect to it such. I know there's like the conversation about AI and whatever, and what's soulless and what's not, but the reason why artists like connect to their audience and their fans is because of what you said. They put into words what their audience couldn't, and it's like we're speaking a language that gets to be translated, and it's so powerful because for me, like I needed to hear it, not realizing that other people also need to hear it too.
Totally. And like you said, as you move on to other chapters, there and grief isn't necessarily linear. There might be a day where you're like, I want to revisit this feeling or this is bubbling up for me. And it's kind of like you get to go back and sonically be back in the same space you were when you were processing those emotions, maybe for the first couple times.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think again, like it goes back to like what's beautiful about like art and life in general is that there's no like linear storytelling for it. Like even like life experience in general, like you're not just because you're getting older doesn't mean like you're going down this like one very like straight and narrow path. Like life is not like that. And I think that's what's so exciting about it.
Totally. And we can I'm excited to hear that you have new music coming out too. We can dig into that a little bit as well, but to give honor to Mountains and Valleys. Okay, you mentioned this that there was some instrumental tracks and it was kind of like you diving into scoring for the first time. So there's three on a 7-track EP. That's a little bit bold, right? That was like a bold decision. What kind of how did you make that call?
I wanted to do it because I love when I love when records have songs that are like the title of it. And like with a title like Mountains and Valleys, I just really wanted, the first track is Mountains on that record, and I wanted it to kind of like build and feel kind of triumphant, use that French horn to kind of like, call back to coming of age films of like growing up and like again like going to things like The Sandlot where it's like I don't really know what I'm gonna do tomorrow, and Robin Williams in Night at the Museum where Ben Stiller literally goes like I don't really know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. How exciting. And I wanted to do that, and then in between, which is like dead in the middle of the record, I wanted it to be like kind of like the idea of mountains and valleys is like can't appreciate the mountaintops without being down in the valleys. But life is really about the daily life of walking in between. And so I wanted in between to be this track of here's this motif that over time will build up or take away, but it'll always stay about right here. Because,
Constant.
yeah, because most days are like Tuesday, right? And like some days on Tuesday it's great. Some days it's not, but most of the time it's just like a Tuesday. You don't really remember every single Tuesday of your life, but you do remember the best days of your life. And so in between kind of stayed there, and then Valleys was a little more somber just because I wanted the album to kind of end with a whisper, not a bang, and to just kind of like tell a story like in a almost linear sense. And like uh each key of those three songs lead into the next one by being in the same key of those ones. So that way it feels like each song that it ends up going into feels like, with example with like Everyday Magic, that song ends and flows into In Between and then flows into Start of Something New. Well, those three songs are all in the same key. So it's going to feel like this movement like that.
That's so interesting. And even like emotionally, sonically, they can be different, but they're in the same key, which I think that's such an interesting, I didn't pick up on that. That's really cool. Also, you mentioned the French horn. Are those real instruments, especially on
No.
mountains? Okay, I wasn't sure, but I grew up in marching band and
Mm.
I love a brass choir. And when I heard the horns on that song, I was like, wait, this is great. You don't hear that very often in like commercial tracks. So that's super cool.
Yeah, like I wish I could work with, maybe one day when I'm old and gray and, I've done what I've set out to do, maybe I'll get into scoring like, Ludwig Göransson or, Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails. But I love movie scores like that. Like I just saw Superman, and that David Fleming score with Don't Look Up has me levitating, and I'm like, you know, that's why people listen to music is for that feeling, that emotion, and sometimes it can be said without any words. Maybe one day. I just started working on today actually. A buddy of mine sent me some strings for a string quartet thing we're working on, and I'm like, oh, now I see why people love working with like people who really do that.
Totally. And also, it's like sometimes movies are made by the music. Like I feel like scary movies aren't scary if you turn the sound off, or like you can love the visual and then you can love the audio, but when you put them together, it makes a magic that they couldn't be independently.
Absolutely.
And I was going to ask if you're a Hans Zimmer fan. I know you mentioned so many other great composers because I don't know if you saw he was at Bridgestone Arena. I think it was like early this year, like late last year, but I got like very similar vibes to him and his like Interstellar and like that sort of
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Hans Zimmer is a huge inspiration to like what I do because even like past records, there's always a cinematic element that I try and add to it. On my last record, The Compass, I have a song called I Won't Let Go that I akin back to the Lion King soundtrack, which he scored and
Yep.
composed. Uh, and I wanted to pay homage to that in that way because the only reason why Hans Zimmer picked up the Lion King soundtrack to score was because he lost his son. And when they were talking
Um,
about like all these different things, he was like, I want to do it and I want to honor like the grief on it. And so I wanted to make a song that was like upbeat and felt like Lion King in that same way that Hans Zimmer did.
That's so cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Again, growing up in marching band, I can appreciate music as well, even without the lyric. And for that being kind of, it looked like those were your first couple releases that were instrumental only, right?
Yeah.
In your catalog. Yeah, really, really cool. Um, and from there, I thought it was interesting how you shared that the instrumental songs were kind of the title track of the EP. And then from there you went to like two more upbeat, optimistic songs that were kind of like emotional but still reflective. Call the Wild, that one's fun, upbeat, really catchy.
Uh, that I always laugh at that because um there's a running joke with my publishers that I have to have a howl in every song because a lot of my songs have like the oohs or woes or like all that. And so I was like, you know what? F it. I'm going to literally howl in it. Because sometimes, like, Call of the Wild is like my idea of just like finding your people, finding your tribe. Like being in Nashville, we've probably heard this in nauseum that if you're going to make it in music at all, it's not about like connecting with the biggest producer or songwriter. It's about finding your people that you're willing to like, get in the trenches with. And Call of the Wild is literally a song about that. Of just like find your people, show you're weird, be weird. And some of the content I dress up like almost like a furry because I'm like the whole idea of the song is just to like really just let go and let loose and be exactly who you are because the people who love you will not care and the people who care don't love you at all.
That's so true. And you don't want to be kind of walking around being so worried you're fitting in with this group. It's like if you are yourself, you'll attract people that are into
Yeah,
the same stuff you are.
exactly. Absolutely.
Totally. And I don't think I even asked this. When did you move to Nashville?
Oh my goodness. I think 9 years ago this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, time flies. Because I own the house now for like 8 years. We got in early with the whole
Smart.
yeah. I well, it's because being in Nashville, like we had an apartment and they were like, yeah, rent's like 1,100 back then, and then they had it like up for a year and it like went up like $400 and we were like, absolutely not, no
Yeah.
way, not even a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's wild. So smart you got in on the house and wow, 9 years. That's incredible. And
Yeah.
what a testament to, yeah, time
What
does
about
fly.
you? Like, are you like one of the classic Nashville natives, or like, are you a transplant too?
I'm a transplant. I've been here 3 years this month as well.
Maybe
July 31st. And I moved from Delaware.
Delaware. You don't
Yeah.
hear that too often.
Yeah. I used
Did
to
you go?
say like Philadelphia because people are more familiar with Philly. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
at least Delaware is a talking point, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Like, what brought you here? Obviously, like music or the creative process, or just it couldn't
Yeah.
be for the bachelorette parties.
Oh man. How'd you know? No, it's the songwriting. I grew up in marching band. I loved playing music since like, fourth grade. I learned clarinet and just played it all through all the years. But songwriting is really like my passion and what better city for it, you know? The
Yeah.
talent is incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so great is like Nashville is such a song specific place. I tell, people when I'm like writing or working with them all the time, if you want like big some of the catchiest melodies in the world or some of like the freshest production, go to LA. If you want something focused on songwriting and all that, go to Nashville. If you want people to be experimental and not really care about like what's going on, go to like Atlanta.
Yeah. Have you spent any time in any of the other music cities as well?
Absolutely. Atlanta's one of my favorite places to go because like kind of like what
Really?
I'm a big like you can't tell by the hair and the complexion, but I'm a huge hip hop fan. Like the history of it, everything like that. One of my favorite genres to work in. So I try and go to Atlanta as often as possible.
And they're really close. I didn't even realize like a couple of hours drive and
Mm.
you're pretty much there. That's really cool. Um, Speaking of hip hop, which to me is like it's really fun to see songs like that performed live.
Mm.
The start of something new, that is another bop off of the Mountains and Valleys EP. I got like American authors or like Gavin DeGraw vibes with it, with like the clapping and the na na nas at the end. So yeah, that one's really fun.
That we have another running joke with it. Producer I work with, I've been working since I was like 18. His name's Kevin Gates, not the rapper. Um, if you know like Never Shout Never or like the Ready Set, he's like the dude who like produced their first few records. We call it Jamaican Jothers because I take a lot of really great inspiration from American authors, especially because I think, if you want to talk about a band that's shaped like a sound or like even in like the film and television world, they don't get their flowers near enough, in my opinion. I think they have, they don't really have a bad record if you really dive into like their discography. I think they are fantastic. So definitely a lot of biting the style of it.
Yeah, and that was something similar I got with your music as well. It's like very upbeat. The upbeat songs that are meant to be fun and catchy and relatable are just lighthearted and really enjoyable for the listener to kind of just get in. And
Mhm.
I'm curious if the live performance is ever something that you consider when you're writing your songs, because the start of something new would be a killer opening track, depending on how you structure your live show, if that's like on your radar right now. But like that would be a a great way to start off a
Yeah.
show.
So that is always my show opener. Started something new.
Is it?
Yes. I did South by Southwest this year. And so first thing, so my music is very happy and uplifting. I don't cuss in my music ever. On stage, live, completely different
Different
thing.
story.
Yeah, my favorite thing because that song's been placed in so many different like TV shows and all that. I get to open it with if you've watched Love Island, Temptation Island, whatever island except Epstein's, like this song is you've heard this song before. But I do think about the live show a lot because the metal bands and post-hardcore bands I grew up playing, like the live show like was it. And so like I always have that in it, and being able to have like those, the na na nas or the woes and all that, it's such a great time because it's given me a chance to, like when I open for other like better artists than I am, even if you don't know me, like I can give you something that like by the end of it, like you're a part of it with me. And sometimes I feel like that really seeps into a lot of music, especially live, because then it's not my show, it's our show because you
Yeah.
sing it with me.
And it gives them something to do. Like I might not know the lyric to your song, but I can clap my hands along with you, or
Yeah.
I can pick up on a melody that's kind of easy to catch and that kind of like earworm real
Yeah.
fast.
I hit him with that na 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 real fast.
Yeah, no, I remember I'm listening through the track and I was listening to it in order because and that was another question I was going to ask. Like when it comes to curating the track list, it's like as a writer, I've never had to think about it. I've never had to be like, how do you group these songs together? And someone who's releasing maybe just singles, it's like there might be some structure to it, but sometimes it might just be the song's ready or culturally this is happening in the world. But yeah, like actually curating the track list, like what is that process like trying to figure it out?
Yeah, so I do a lot of like the singles and package and then singles and package, but it because I'm a producer myself as well. I'm always thinking about eventually when they make it to a body of work because I remember who I was as a kid buying again Hawthorne Heights, like buying that record and listening to it down all the way through. Mayday Parade, listening down all the way through Mariana's Trench.
I love Mayday Parade. Sorry, that's like
Oh
one of my
no, I
favorite
no, I love
bands.
it. Yes, absolutely. But like I really love thinking about it too because I'm a big movie fan. We like my wife and I we're up to 100 new movies on the year already.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Um, the and so when I think about a body of work, like every record, if because there are songs on the Compass that were done before Rosewood was done, which was the first EP, and there was songs that are done on Mountains and Valleys that have been done for, like after stuff that's on the new record are done, like the ones that are not even out. And it's
Wow.
because what I'm always thinking of is, if I put this body of work together and I curate it like it's going to be a movie, which a lot of times like it is audio visual like movie, like people like imagine things in their head as they're listening. I'm like, what is the story that I actually want to tell with this album or this EP? Like, what is what's the lesson that they're going to get at the end of the sitcom, right? What is the lesson they learned from this coming of age film that I'm putting on in it? So like I'm always trying to constantly think of how how it means to put together a record and sequencing and all that. And I went through, even on this next one that's coming out, I've done through three or four iterations of how I want the songs to go, because essentially, like, I'm like, what story am I trying to tell right now? And that's why it was so nice, like when Mountains and Valleys finally came out, I could really sit there and go, well, that chapter of my life is over. So do I tell a new story or do I tell a continuation?
Yeah. And it's like I can't change it. It's already out. I can't worry
Yeah,
about it anymore.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so fascinating. And like I think that takes a lot of restraint and also awareness of the catalog that you've created to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to hold this one. It doesn't fit in this chapter in this universe right now. I'll hold this song for the next thing because it's going to fit better or et cetera. Like I think that takes a lot of awareness of that's like really cool that you're thinking in that way when it comes to your releases.
Well, what's great about social media is that like you can kind of like test songs out anyway. So like I can kind, because I think sometimes with like artists and creatives, like we get done with a song and we get so excited to show the song that like we want to put it out immediately because like, yeah, of course, like we just did that. But with social media, I get to like tease things here and there. So like I like there like, if you look back like probably like 1 or 2 years on my TikTok, you've heard some songs that are going to be on this next record out.
Really?
Uh, but what it does allow me to do is just go, cool. Like I had that moment of like I put out a little bit of it, but now I can like drop back.
Yeah. It'd be fun for all your fans that are listening to be like, can you find all the old posts? See,
Yeah.
share which ones you think would be the coolest, or share which ones you think are coming down the pipeline. From a songwriting perspective, because I know you shared you're also a producer, you seem to really toe the line between being optimistic without being preachy.
Mhm.
Is that like, do you have any, was that hard for you to develop that skill set?
Um, I want to say no, not because of arrogance, but because trauma. And I that I want to say like that's like a joke, but it really is like I wanted to be optimistic is like I'm an overall optimistic person, and I come from a family of pretty strong optimists in general. Like like I'm really close to my brothers. I'm really close to my mom and my dad when he was still here, and we survived a lot of things together, like house fires and other things like that. And so the way that I go about it is like I'm not trying to preach, and so I like the way that I speak in my songs is legitimately the way I speak in real life. And so my thing is just always like it takes the same amount of energy to be like, all right, today's gonna be a shit day, or today's gonna be, I don't know if I can cuss on this, so I'm
You
sorry.
know, feel go
Uh,
whatever whatever comes.
fuck yeah. So,
That'll be
but
the
like,
opening clip. I'm gonna move
yeah.
it. Just
Oh,
fire.
I'll give you a good one. I can string together a very creative, you know, uh, fuck can be used in any part of a word multiple times in any part of the word, and it takes on a whole new meaning. But that's a whole different story. But like, really, like, I just I look for an optimist in uh, because at the end of the day, like, I only have so much time on this earth, and if I can, I want to leave it better than I left it. Even if it's just even if no one else in the world ever experiences it, if the world around me can feel like I left it better than I was, I'd be great.
Yeah. No, I think that's really powerful, especially when you said like my authentic voice, the way I speak to someone in real life reflects in the art that I make because um it also helps add that element of yeah, this person's literally saying or putting words to emotions I'm feeling, whether it's grief or someone's going through their own like life chapter that's maybe a little bit difficult. It's kind of like, yeah, this person really summed it up for me in a way that connects for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've kind of like brought it up a couple times in the interview, kind of like in passing, but like I took a break from being an artist for a while, from like 2019 to like 2023 when I came back, and it's because I really, you know, talking about like why I picked up a guitar in the first place, like if I didn't find music, I would have ended it there. And so like being an artist and saying things to me is like it's really sacred. It really is. Like being an artist and having that opportunity, having that platform is like really sacred. And so I there was a period of time like between like 2019, probably a little earlier when I was still going where I was like kind of rehashing the same songs, not really saying anything. Because at that time, I was like, my life was great. Like everything was stable. And I was like, why am I taking the space of some of these other artists that are sitting there and really like they're talking about real shit.
Mm.
They're talking about real life experience that like real people need. And I'm just writing the same love song, just painted a different color. Like instead of it being eggshell white, it was, off white. Like who am I to take that space of an artist that if I step back, they could fill that and actually change someone's life.
Mm.
And so, you know, the only way I look at if a song is coming out from me, I will defend that song to the death. Like some people will listen to my songs and be like, "Oh, it's not very deep, it's not very that." I'm like, "Yeah, it might not be on the surface, but the way I write it, like again, like started something new, or best days yet to come, or on my way." Or even some of the songs on it, like Everyday Magic. I say it very plainly like that because I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a very smart person. I have the greatest vocabulary or vernacular in the world. And sometimes when you're going through something tough or having a good day, like you don't
Say it
need
like it is.
to
Yeah.
say it like it is. And so like that's why they are. But like if I put out a song, it's because I believe in the message and I really firmly believe that the song needs to be out. And I took that break for a long time because I didn't have anything really to say. And then the pandemic happened, and then all like over the span of 6 months, I lost so many important people in my life, and I was like, oh, there are things to write about. There's experience to write about. There's experience to process, and there's things to process and figure out that I don't know how to do that anymore. And so, being able to write these songs on my side was a way for me to be able to process that. And so, it led to me becoming an artist again because I felt like grief can be so taboo, and people talk about grief in like the sad way, right? All the time. Everything's
Hmm.
always sad with grief. Don't get me wrong, it is. But like no one ever talks about like when you are sharing those memories of loved ones and how it still brings so much joy to you to be like, oh yeah, I remember when my dad used to do that all the time. I'll say it to anyone who listens. I'm like, oh yeah, my dad used like I just released a cover of John Fogerty's Center Field back in the beginning of July just cause. And it was because my dad was my baseball coach and I was like, man,
Oh wow.
yeah, like oh, it was my dad was a great coach, but he always had this rule that if you're late to practice, you have to run the length of the field 4 times. Well,
Oh
my
man.
dad was my coach, and so I was late, and he goes, "Jay, you're late." I'm like, "You drove me. I'm 9 years old." And he goes, "Doesn't matter. Laps." So I
No
know,
exceptions.
no exceptions. And like that, those kind of stories. And so like, yeah, like roundabout way, like my authentic voice is the only way that I can go about doing it if if my name is attached to it. That's why I love being a songwriter so much is because I can be a part of that for other people and help be a conduit. But when it comes to like my voice, it's these songs are innately me, and you know, I say it's hard to replicate, not because I'm so innately great as a songwriter, but some people are afraid to be corny. I was born on the fucking cob.
That's great. What you were saying around center field being a cover, because when did you play baseball growing up? Like you said that, but what age did you start getting involved?
Oh, like 4 or 5, because all my brothers and all that are all played baseball when they were younger too, and it, man, baseball is a big part of my life. My mom taught me how to play baseball. She is the biggest St. Louis Cardinals fan you'll ever meet in your life. When I say that, if there is any trivia, any history, any knowledge, she knows it. Like, that's not an exaggeration.
I love that. My mom is a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, and so like my love of football came from her. And so shout out moms. They know what's up.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because my mom was down here yesterday for lunch, and we were talking about how being able to, because the Cardinals suck right now. Like, we're Cardinals fans, and they're terrible right now. Looking at you, John Mozeliak, if you by chance are listening to it because maybe if you're a fan of my music or your kids are, you suck.
Clean it up.
Yes, but there used to be a kid zone at the original Bush. Well, it's Bush Stadium number 2. And if you were a kid under the age of 10 and you answered 10 questions in a row about Cardinals history, and it got progressively harder, you could win tickets to the next game.
Oh wow.
We got banned
You weren't
because we
allowed
won,
to play it anymore?
because we won too much.
That is so funny.
And I remember the last baseball game I went with my dad before he passed away. He saw my mom, and the guy who used to host it, he still works for the Cardinals organization. He walked around Ballpark Village and he came up to the table and he goes, "You guys look really familiar." He's like, "What?" And my mom goes, "We're the only family that you ever banned from trivia." And he goes, "Oh my God, you guys are the putties. So this must be the oldest," looking at me. And I was like, "No, I'm the youngest." And he goes, "Where has the time went?"
Also, what a flex to be like, we know so much about this organization that you got to ban us from trivia. That is so funny. Um, I wanted to ask because your music has been charted, like talking about having fans and people tuning in to the music that you share. Your music's charted in over 50 countries. You've been featured on Billboard and People magazine. Has that level of exposure changed the way you approach making music or like goals that you make for yourself moving forward?
Goals definitely. Because I never want to take for granted the fact that I get to do this. And so I'm always striving to be better, write better songs, hit better milestones, look at opportunities my songs could go. How I approach songs, not really. Just because I don't, people might listen to these songs and go, "Oh, he definitely writes commercially." And like, yeah, that might be true because, I write for, you know, certain things, but at the end of the day, like, if I don't feel like I have anything to say as an artist, I will stop. Like, I will full stop. I will, I'll just go in to writing for other people, like I do all the time, writing for film and television. But having the levels of success, no matter what it is, it's such a blessing, and it's really something I try so hard not to take for granted that. Um, Yeah, I'll always strive for more, but it's one of those ones where I try and be very present on because still it blows my mind growing up in Southern Indiana like most of my entire life, and like you see something, you're like, "Oh, that hit, #1 on iTunes in the Philippines." Like, they've never even like, seen me before. Like, what do you mean? Like, I can count to one. Why am I #1?
Yeah, that's so wild. Are there any lesser known songs in your catalog that you consider a hidden gem or like any tracks that you're like really proud of and you hope that like your audience in time will start to love it as much as you do?
That is such a good fucking question. That is a great question because I was having that thought this morning, uh, looking at my Spotify. There is a song I have from like 8 years ago called About You that I'm like, oh, this song fucking rules. And it was just a one-off single. I think it rules. From The Compass, I think my song I Won't Let Go, it's the one I talked about that's like Lion King. I think that song absolutely rips. I have a song called Hard Times from 2021 that I think is better than it got deserved. And it's like one of those ones where I'm actually looking forward to that day for those people. Like if no like massive success comes from it, and if I have a fan base that comes in and goes, I found this song and I think this is your best song, and I can go, you know, ball, like kind of like how like some of those people will just like randomly be like, yeah, I know this one like random player that didn't do anything, um, but was part of like the 2011 Carolina Panthers, and he had like this one game where he went off for like 200 rushing yards, and it's like one of the like random off-skew facts where like, yeah, the general populace who knows and loves the sport or even loves that team may not know it, but like they'll be like, yeah, and I'll just be like, yeah, like I look
You.
for those moments like that.
Yeah, no, I love that. And especially like as an artist, you're releasing each track because it connects with you. And it's like, yeah, there's some that you're like, I hope this little song child goes off and, finds the love that it deserves. So that's really cool. We'll have to like link those down below so that way people can definitely seek those ones out and give them a listen. You
Well,
mentioned this a few times that you're, oh, sorry, that you're a big movie buff.
yeah.
What are like some of your favorite films? Like any ones off this 100 list this year alone that you're like worth checking out?
Oh my God. That's so hard to pick because like also you have to break it down by like genre because I like it's hard to compare like the storytelling of like a movie that does a for example a quintessential slasher, like a movie that does that really well. Um I I think I think Superman legitimately is like one of the best movies of the year. It filled me with such radical hope because it was just a movie that was just do good, be good for people. And I was like, oh, that's great. I saw a movie earlier this year called The Last Showgirl and had Pamela Anderson in it as like the lead. The whole story of it is she's the last showgirl on the Vegas Strip, and the things are about to show like shut down. And I think she acted incredibly in it. I think it was shot beautifully. I think that one's great. But I finally saw like the Fear Street movies, which I thought those were really good. Um, but yeah, I think it just really depends on like, you know, what genre like you're thinking of, like what because I mean I could go through the list right now and just be like, yeah, like that one like was good for like One of Them Days, great comedy. That SZA and Kiki Palmer, like loved that one. I thought that was really good. The Amateur kind of ruled. Sinners, like I think if I had to like pick like a movie for like this year, like Sinners might be like definitely number one, if not top three.
I also saw Sinners. I saw it in theater too, which is like, um, I feel like that's like the best way to watch a movie because you're like totally ingrained in the vibe. But yeah, that was a great film. And I forgot about the Pamela Anderson one. I saw advertisements for it and I had made a mental note. I got to check this one out. And then I hadn't. So great reminder. Go check it out.
Yeah, I tell everybody, especially like as if you're another creative hoping to get songs in film and television like it, go support your theater. Like we frequent the Regal here in Nashville so much so often. We are so close with every worker that works there. Like it's kind of funny, a little sad, but there really is nothing better than experiencing a really great film with that sound system, with that atmosphere. The Regal Pass is $20 a month. So like don't talk to me about like pricing being terrible. $20 a month. You can go see unlimited movies. You get great discounts with it. And it's an experience, and it like you get to see some of these ones like Fantastic Four is coming out this weekend, and apparently they change aspect ratios and cinematography style every single time Galactus comes up. That's not something that's going to show up on your TV.
That's
Like
wild.
or like Jaws is having its 50th anniversary. You know, the reason why we have blockbusters in general is because of how the cultural impact that Jaws had on it. And it's coming back out and it's on 35 millimeter film. The warmth of that analog, you can't see it on a TV. Like go to the theaters. It's so much fun. It's such a great time.
And it's an event. It's like something to do. You get to go and get excited about it and sit in a theater of people experiencing the same exact thing as you at the same time. That's
Yeah,
like really, really cool. I don't know if you're an Ed Sheeran fan, but he is a secret, or I don't know if it's a secret anymore because he announced it, but he is like a movie reviewer. He has like a movie review account on one of these popular sites. And he
Letterbox.
said, yeah, and he's like been reviewing movies forever. So that's really cool that you also have a passion for cinematography and
Oh,
film.
absolutely. Michael, I've name dropped him a lot, and my other best friend Howie, who's my videographer for my content. We have a movie review podcast called Real Talk.
Do you really?
Yeah, because we like, and no one listens to it. No one listens to the podcast, but we love doing it and yapping about it because we love movies, we love film, we love cinematography. Michael and I write for film and television. Howie wants to direct a movie one day, so it's like really great to like dive into that with that perspective.
Oh, 100%. Also, really quick, are those Funko Pops to your left?
They are. I have way too many.
That's
Actually.
awesome.
I have I went through a phase my because I'm also wearing my Rhythm with the Tism shirt right now. Uh my special interest is Funko Pops, so I tend to have way too many of them.
That is awesome. My best friend, her name's Brittany, from home. We lived together for like 3 years after college, and she had a whole bookshelf full of them. And so I saw the box. I'm like, I know that box.
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen that before.
Absolutely. I have it in mostly anime. Like I'm a big anime fan. Uh I probably nerd out way too much with certain anime that I'm not like a scholarly person, like I don't do math or whatever. But when it comes to scaling the powers in an anime that I really like, I can do it in the fifth dimensional tier. So if that's if anybody hears that and knows that, it's nerdy as fuck.
You have found your people if they know, if they get
Yes,
the reference.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Jay, it has been so fantastic getting to chat with you today and all about your music.
Yeah. Paige, I have to say, I appreciate the chat. This hour has legitimately just flown by and has been the highlight not only of my day, but the week. You are such a gracious host, and it is so appreciated that you allowed me to yap for an hour on your podcast.
It was such a blast. Truly, thank you so much for coming on and sharing so much about your experience and you as an artist and your journey. And every time I have a guest on the show, I always ask the same final question. Um, and I'm going to tweak it just a little bit because I think so many people tuning in can learn from you and your journey. But what's one piece of advice you would give your younger self that could also apply to all the other artists, songwriters, creatives, dreamers tuning in?
Wow. Wow. This is gonna sound so cliche. Be you. Like, I know this sounds so cliche, but I even up until like probably like a couple of years ago, like I tried so hard to be everything that I thought other people should be, and like it was soul sucking, it was draining. I constant people pleaser, like still am. You know, therapists are helping me like work through that. But when you are 100% who you are, you really get to be loved for everything you are instead of everything you aren't. And that's such a beautiful thing for like the people around you to get to experience because you get to live kind of like in Technicolor, but also how it translates to your music and your art and just like your outlook on life. Just, I know it just sounds so cliche, but really like if I could go back in time, like even like 4 or 5 years ago, Jay, I would say, dude, you don't have to try this hard. Like you are worthy and deserving of the love and you know the adoration of the friends around you, and you don't have to put on anything else for anyone else.
Well said. Jay, this has been amazing. For anyone tuning into the show who loved learning about you and wants to support you in your journey, where can people find you online?
You can find me at TikTok at Jay Putty, Instagram at Jay Putty, YouTube.com/, Jay Putty, farmersonly.com as well. I think
Why
that's
not?
still, yeah, yeehaw.
Incredible. All of those links are going to be down in the description. So make sure you tune in, follow along with Jay on his socials. Make sure you check out Mountains and Valleys, the newest EP that is out now. Centerfield is also out as the newest single, and you got a new one coming down the pipelines just next month. So make sure you tune into all of those. If you're not already following the So Rude podcast, please make sure you do. You can find us on Instagram or TikTok at sorude.podcast. And through your support is how we're able to have the most gracious and amazing guests to come on and share their journey and their stories, tips, suggestions, and things that we as creatives can include as part of our process as well. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll chat again soon. Bye now. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with every episode. See you next time.